Hey, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM. If you're interested in sponsoring my show, you can send me an email to the Mike Wagner Show at gmail.com, or you could also donate to the podcast. Just go to the Donate Listen site, and you can also donate whatever you like. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. For those who are interested, Anchor can give you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. We got creation tools, allows you to record and edit podcasts so it sounds great, and they'll distribute the podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Spotify, Apple, Google, many more. And you can make money from the podcast with no minimum listenership. So download the Anchor app for free or go to Anchor FM to get started.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. Hired by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also, over 35 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also, follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a very, very talented businesswoman who is a social justice activist committing to working towards the balance of scales of access, equity, and availability in sexual reproductive health care. She has training in midwifery, Bachelor of Arts in Women's Study, and more, and also collaborating with another wonderful business woman from Austin, Texas. Having special powers comes to connecting ideas, people, institutions, and more. And of course, having hands-on civic engagement, focuses on self-care. This is just a very unique item out there, especially on a Mother's Day. And we have what it is called Waking Giants. And to find out what the Waking Giants are, ladies and gentlemen, live right here in somewhere in the United States, and of course, just going from North Dakota, Arkansas to Austin, Texas, and more. Ladies and gentlemen, from Austin, Texas, the Waking Giant herself, Sera Bond. Sera, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
All right, and it's also good to have you as well, too. So basically, you're a social justice activist committing to working towards balancing scales of access, equity, and more as well, too. You're also one of the founders of Waking Giants, and basically it's about, committed to having, like, citizens demand a better planet and connecting deeply with issues, and also having, just bringing people together globally, and a very good reason. And before we get into all that, tell us how I first got started.
Well, Martha, the co-founder, Martha Pinkoff, she also lives here in Austin. We founded Waking Giants last fall, and Martha and I have been on our own paths working in advocacy and activism for both of us about 2 decades. So my background is, as you mentioned, in sexual reproductive health. I've founded a humanitarian aid organization 16 years ago, and it's called Circle of Health International, and it's a feminist women's health aid organization. We worked in 22 countries, got aid to over 3 million women and children. And so that was my background. Before that, I worked in economic justice work, did a lot of work around indigenous rights and anti-violence and war campaigns. Martha is a native Texan. So she's a native Austinite. That's very rare for us here. We call them unicorns. Not a lot of people in Austin who were born and raised here. And she comes from a background in food activism and food security. She's a chef. She started a couple food companies. And after the 2016 election, we did not know each other, but we were having a similar sort of awakening, where we really felt like there was something missing regarding civic engagement. It feels very heavy, very divisive. I certainly don't have to tell your listeners about that. Like, we feel like a very divided country. And Martha and I really believe that the path through this is together in a nonpartisan way. And so we founded Waking Giants to provide tools for people to do good. And it's for everybody. We are a nonpartisan company. We don't pick sides, we pick issues. And we approach the issues through evidence and through kindness and compassion and joy and beauty and art and inspiration. And so we provide tools for people to connect on the issues that matter to them. Mm-hmm. And that's Waking Giants.
It also sounds more like you're trying to come up with, you have a problem and you're trying to come up with a solution. And that's what it sounds like. Like, say you have a problem with, like, say, how can we improve the economy, or how can we stop the current pandemic, or how do we stop like a certain violence? So it's just like, right. There's like a problem, and you try to come up with a solution. So how does this process work? Like, say, for example, let's say the economy is starting to drop a little bit, and
imagine that. How hypothetical.
Right, hypothetical. I'm trying to come up with a question here, or a situation.
So economic justice for us, from where we're sitting in this, all of it is rooted in the systems that were created a really long time ago in this country, a country that is a different space and time. And the systems that were created then are not systems that truly serve us now. And the way that the economy works is definitely one of them. I think we're really experiencing that right now, especially in Texas, where tomorrow, on May 1st, in the middle of a pandemic, our governor has decided that it is safe for businesses to open again. And I can tell you, as a global health expert who worked in Ebola and bird flu in Asia, that we are not there. And the decision to open things up tomorrow in Texas and Georgia and other places is an economic decision. And this country continues to value economy over humanity. And that is the decision that we are watching roll out. And so right now, part of the work that we're doing at Waking Giants is to remind folks that we have a choice. We have a choice in this. You have a choice to go out into the world or to stay home to protect other people and your family. It feels like an invitation to go out back into the world, but it's actually a bit of a trick in the sense that the administration and other folks are feeling like the economy needs us to do that, and valuing money over lives. And that has been like a long-term value in the United States. And so one of the things that Waking Giants is working towards through community engagement and collaboration with like-minded organizations and companies is this reconsideration of how we can engage with tools like the economy to center it around people, and make sure that our decisions are rooted in this particular situation, certainly, in health and the health of all, not the health of some.
Mm-hmm. And also, you also have like a multi-layer business model that inspires humanitarian-oriented activism. And tell us about this multi-layered business model that inspires the humanitarian-oriented activism.
Sure. Well, we really try to ensure that all of our products and all of our collaborations are human-centered. So, for example, one of the products that we have developed and that we offer is a literal kit, like a box that arrives at your door. We offer these kits that are focused on different issues. For example, we have one that's on immigration. And so inside this kit, in addition to some very literal calls to action on people you can write, people you can call, conversations you can have with your family and your community about immigration, all in a nonpartisan, human-centered way. There's also art and writing, and all of those items are also human-centered in the sense that the folks who wrote them and made them are immigrants themselves. So we're really trying to center the people most impacted by the issues that we are addressing in the products that we develop.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, you have it called Waking Giants EDU online event programming. And, of course, it just talks about the tools you need to continue the good fight. And, of course, you got some online events, and maybe you can just tell us about some of the tools that you provide and some of the interesting ones that you had, too. It's like I'm looking at, last month, back from April 2020, like, say, with April's astrology forecast, coffee talk with you, and cooking for the good fight. And also kitchen therapy, kids music show, photography, questions and answers, gardening, pregnancy, and more. And, maybe you can just, tell us about some of those events.
Sure. So one of the tools that we're all really using right now is the internet in ways that we relied on it in the past, but now we are really doubling down on a reliance on finding connection through our screens and through our devices and the platforms that we find there. And so we've created this new tool called Waking Giants EDU, where we provide educational and learning opportunities that are rooted in connection. And we are really trying to keep the topics uplifting because there's just so much heaviness right now. But we also take this seriously, and we know that there's a place in your day for cooking and yoga, and there's a place in your day for considering your role and your impact in the world. And so we're trying to strike a balance between those two. So, for example, last night I had a great night on Waking Giants EDU. From 5:30 to 6:30, we had a pandemic Q&A, which we try to do every 10 days or 2 weeks or so, where we have a health or public health expert on to just take questions about, like, what does it mean to actually social distance? Last night, because so many states are opening up their economy in different ways, we were discussing earlier, we had a pediatrician on who works with very vulnerable populations to talk about what we can do to keep the most vulnerable safe as restrictions start to be released or lifted. So that was the 1 hour. Then following that hour, we had our first book club event with Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go's, which is a band that I listened to a lot in my childhood and adolescence. And that was just a blast to get to talk to her about what it was like to be in the first all-women's band to go gold, platinum, so many world tours, like what that meant to young female musicians at the time.
And one of my faves as well, too. Yes, one of my faves.
Oh my
Very
God,
interesting.
so
yes.
It was really fun.
Yes, we're children of the 80s, I'll tell you that, or somewhat
right?
teenagers.
Right? Yeah, it was a blast. So, we're trying really hard to keep all of our offerings rooted in what we really need right now, which is information, inspiration, and connection.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we'll talk about your role in activism as well, too. A little more on wakinggiants.me. First, you listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention The Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen to over 35 podcast platforms on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with Sera Bonds of WakingGiants.me here on The Mike Wagner Show. She also paired up with Martha Pinkoffs, a native Austinite, and also she was also a founder of a few businesses as well, too. And before we get back more into the WakingGiants.me as well, too. And first of all, how did you first get involved in activism, and what influenced you into becoming an activist?
I wish that at this point in my career, after having done this for 2 decades, I had a better answer to that question. I just had really conscientious parents, who I don't come from money. I don't come from people who were real high on the social hierarchy, if you will. But I come from people who cared about their community and their friends and cared about the planet, and who really taught us about that. I was raised by a single mom who worked really, really hard to make sure that me and my sister had the things that we needed. She went on to a very illustrious career in corporate America, where I watched her mentor younger women and help them find their way to careers that matter to them. I saw her, work really hard to ensure that diversity was a priority in the places where she worked. That was one parent. And then I had this cowboy poet dad, who taught me about nature conservation and about our connection to the land and animals and the food that feeds us. And they say to me all the time, like, where did you come from? This is not what we meant to do, you and your sister. My sister is a climate change activist. But they did it. They raised these 2 kids who spend their days working to make the planet a better place for everybody. And I think really it just comes from this commitment that I felt and that I saw in them in showing up for people who have less. Even when you don't yourself have a lot, there are always people who have less than you do, and it is our responsibility to do what we can to help them. So I learned it from my parents. I think it was probably in my 20s when I spent some time living in San Francisco and in Oregon, where I was just exposed to, because I'm like a kid from rural Arkansas, so I didn't have a lot of different kinds of folks around me with different perspectives. But then when I got to some bigger cities, I started to just hear about different kinds of ideas and different considerations of things, and that was really fun and expansive. And then when I went to college in Montana, University of Montana in Missoula, I ran the campus feminist organization, and that is absolutely where, I actually got my training as an activist, where I learned how to write grants, I learned how to organize events, I learned how to, call people on the phone and talk to them about issues. So that's where my training happened in college. And that's where I also learned about public health, and that's where I decided that that's really where I wanted to plant my flag. So then I went to graduate school in Boston and got a master's in public health. And then I founded the NGO that I ran for 15 years and worked all over the place doing just really great, exciting stuff with some very incredible people. So it all started with my mom and dad on farms in rural America. That's where it started.
That is fantastic. I mean, you went all over the United States to get all that education. Of course, your background from reproductive rights, violence against women, welfare, poverty issues, pro-immigration, and you also been over 20 countries and working on these causes. And tell us about some of the countries you've been in. And I have to say, what's your most favorite country overseas you've been working in?
We'll have different favorites for different reasons. I lived in India for a year. I loved it there. Really loved it there. Loved the food. I love the chaos of a crazy, big, loud, dirty city. I really loved working there. I learned so much from the midwives and the doctors that I spent time with there. Really learned a lot about my white privilege. And my understanding of feminism at that point, really, the women that I was spending time with helped me to see how white it was, the lens that I viewed my world through, and so they helped me to expand that. And the nature in India is also just unparalleled. The Himalayas are not like anything else on the planet. I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I had my first baby. I have 2 sons. They're 9 and 11. The first one, the 11-year-old, was born in Israel. We were living there. I was working in Gaza and the West Bank. I love the Middle East. I love it so dearly. The food, the weather, the beaches, the history, the culture, all of the cultures, how it is just where we all come from. It's where all of our religions come from, well, most of our religions. I really, really love living there. I spent a lot of time in Haiti, another place I really love. The music and the art that come out of Haiti are so powerful. The history that Haiti shares with America around slavery is really powerful and profound. Haiti is also a place that is just very hard. The poverty is very hard. The disease is very hard. The corruption in the government that just doesn't seem to really prioritize its people is very hard. But the people themselves are incredible, and learned a lot from folks there. I went to Istanbul a couple of years ago. That has got to be one of my favorite cities. It's incredible. It just sits at this sort of spot on the map where so many different parts of the world meet, and you really feel that when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
On one corner, you'll be looking at a person that looks to be from Central Asia. You look the other direction, and there's somebody walking around in like batik from Western Africa. Then you look across the street the other direction, and there's somebody in hijab from Saudi. I mean, it's such a diverse city, and the food is extraordinary. Yeah, I really love Istanbul too.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of those spots.
It sounds like that you had a really good experience just traveling all over the country, not just experience people and to also promote your agenda, getting people to wake up, inspire and everything, but also the food as well, too, since your partner, Martha, who is not able to join us, she's a founder of Hot Dang, a vegetarian burger that can be found in stores across the country, and I'm thinking about food as well, too. What's probably your most favorite dish? Like among, of all the countries you talked about?
I think the thing I miss most is hummus in East Jerusalem. Like if I could just click my heels right now and have any meal in the world, it would be finding myself in the old city in Jerusalem, in the Arab part of the city, where there's just these like little, they seem like little hole in the wall kind of restaurants that have been owned by the same family for generations and generations. They have maybe like 6 tables, and you sit down and the salads just start pouring out, the hummus and the baba ganoush and the falafel and all the tea. And in the distance, you'll hear the call to prayer. And yeah, I'd say Middle Eastern food is my favorite.
You know something? It makes me think about the movie that I saw, one of the Iron Man movies, and of course with Tony Stark played by Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
When he came back from fighting all the bad guys, and they said, "What do you want to have?" I just want an American cheeseburger.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I am on a quest for the cheeseburger. Also, we have I have a new affinity for burgers. I also really love a burger.
Oh, that's interesting.
The American food I love the most right now is tater tots.
Oh, tater tots. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go for some tater tots right now. And of course, if you're asked to put together your own burger, it can be hamburger, cheeseburger, veggie burger, whatever. It's like, what is your ultimate burger and what toppings would you like on them?
So I like my burgers very rare. I like my meat like mooing at me on the plate. I like raw red onions, avocado, caramelized onions also, and like mushroom gravy. You know what I'm talking about? With like this thick mushroom gravy, and a sesame bun.
Wow. I think you can sell those very easily as well, too. Connecting people more deeply to issues, connect them with hamburgers and cheeseburgers. I like that.
Yeah. I love a good burger.
That's right. And of course, I wouldn't mind having a hamburger myself. It's like, cook it medium, ketchup, onions, mustard, lettuce, hold the tomatoes. And also, I think there's also some bacon, and I think put on some mayo, and let's see, I think in some places they put cucumber or green pepper. I might think of the bagel as well, too. So, oh my gosh, it's like you got me thinking on that, and lots of onions as well, too. And Any kind of bread will do too, even if it's sourdough. It's like, I love sourdough bread. I have to say that. So, and of course, you've also mentioned with the rare meat as well too. I like the rarest of all, which is like tiger meat or ground round, where I grew up in the Midwest, where it's just simply raw hamburger. It's a very special kind. You put it on a piece of rye bread, a thick onion ring, which is raw, add Lowry seasoned salt, and you just eat it. It's delicious.
Yeah, I love a burger. I love some good. I'm just like stuck on the burger now. I wish I could. It's one of the things I really miss about life right now is being able to go out and get the food that you want when you want it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And of course, we can connect the world that way, and we can also connect the world in other ways. We'll, finish up talking about Waking Giants as well, too. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on over 35 podcast platforms, including SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Play, iTunes, Anchor FM, and many more. Check out the MikeWagnerShow.com. We're here with Sera Bonds of Waking Giants here on the Mike Wagner Show, and just talking about her experiences and how things come together, and talking about hamburgers. And one thing, just learning how to connect deeply into many issues. What I have to say is kind of lacking these days. It's, trying to break through a superficial and go deep into a number of issues as well, too. And especially for the moms as well, too. Like you said, you grew up, single mother yourself and everything else. It's like, how can the moms, or like say with potentially broken families, just connect with more deeply to the issues of today?
Well, I think they probably connect with them more than most people. I think the challenge is finding the resources and the time to engage, maybe on the level that folks are looking for. I find that the people who are most likely to show up for an event or show up in a meaningful way around issues are the people who are most directly impacted by them, because they understand it the best. I think that it's the work for the rest of us to have more resources and more time to spare, to help them so that they have time to do it too. And by do it too, I mean to engage on the issues that matter to them in a meaningful way. In community organizing, the first things you learn are that if you want people to come to your events, if you want people to engage with your work, you have to provide childcare, provide transportation, you have to feed people. Because if you can't take care of those three basic needs, the only people who are going to show up are the people who don't need those things. And they're going to have a different perspective on the issues because they have less to lose. And so I think for folks who are struggling, especially right now, there's so many folks who are feeling we just don't live in a country where there's a lot of security, literally social security, whether it be living paycheck to paycheck, having health care, having access to a quality education for your kids. People who get those issues don't often have time because they're working 3 jobs. They don't have transportation to get to an event or get to an office to help stuff envelopes or hear a speaker. So it's our job as the people who have more resources to just make sure that we are organizing a way to support people who it's going to be the hardest for them to get there and to participate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does make sense, where it's just like, people want to come to these things, but then there's always a thing, like you said, it's like, I got to find childcare. I got to find a ride. I need to get money and everything else. And that's where you guys all step in, and everybody just collaborates on what needs to be done. So it sounds more like, one person has a problem, the other has a problem, one has a solution. Everybody comes together to tackle a problem and come up with a solution.
Yep. Yeah, and the solutions for things like the economy, as we were talking about earlier, we just want to make sure that anytime we're considering solutions or approaches towards something that's broken or needs improvement, that a wide range of perspectives are present. And if we really want that to happen, then we have to make sure that the most marginalized and most vulnerable of our citizens are able to participate. And that means childcare, transportation, food, safety. Sometimes if we're talking about issues that other people feel unsafe about talking about publicly, that we've taken that into consideration and made sure that there's a way people can share their opinions or their suggestions anonymously. So there's a lot that goes into planning in community actions and organizing that's unseen, the behind the scenes prep work. And hopefully if that work gets done well, then we have an informed understanding of the solutions from everybody involved. I think we have a lot of room for improvement in this regard in America, but I also know there's a lot of people working on it, and it's better now than it was in the past, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And of course, lastly, how can we help?
I think that right now folks are feeling stretched really thin. We're all stuck at home for a very long time. This is what it's going to look like for a while for us. And really just encourage people to pick one thing. Pick the thing that matters the most to you. And then just put on your blinders and stay focused on it, whether it's education or literacy or climate change or democracy, whatever it might be. Pick the thing and then really root yourself in it and stay committed to it, and just tend it every day like you would a garden or like you do your exercise regimen. To just, even on days when you don't have a lot of energy, maybe all you can do is read an article. On days that you have more energy, maybe you can make some phone calls or attend a webinar or listen to a speaker online. Days when you're feeling like you coming out all guns blazing, maybe you can call your friends and see if anybody wants to join you in a different action or event or some sort of activity that's taking place. But just to tend to it every day according to the energy that you have, and to remember that none of these issues are going to be solved overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and to pace yourself accordingly.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important as well, too. And what are your upcoming plans for 2020 with Waking Giants and beyond?
Well, we did not think that we would be building a business in the middle of a pandemic. So that's certainly, a challenge we are having to pivot to. We knew that this was going to be a very challenging company to build in an election cycle because so many folks are focused, rightfully so, on the election. But we also really believe that the weaknesses and the cracks in our foundation in this country are no longer deniable. It's becoming more and more visible, whether it is cracks in government, the cracks in our social systems, and healthcare, that sort of thing. And I really do believe that Leonard Cohen line around how the cracks are where the light gets in. And in the light is where the opportunity is for growth, whether it's on a personal level or society level, and for us on a business level. So we're really trying to see the opportunities that are there for us. And so this is why we're pivoting to a lot of online content. And we're really trying to speak to the issues that folks are feeling most pressure around. And I think for most folks right now, that's food. Food security is a big deal for folks right now. Why we're seeing all these like sourdough starter things on Instagram. And I saw a picture in the New York Times yesterday of a food line in New Jersey that was a mile long.
Wow.
People in their cars, and the cars were like $40,000 cars.
Really?
So
$40,000 cars and lining up for food?
Yeah, at a food bank. And I think one of the things that's become really apparent is that there just weren't a lot of people in this country who had more than a month's worth of savings. Didn't have a deep well to pull from when it came to money. And we had very little warning when our economy was turned off.
Mm-hmm.
And that ripple is really, we're still feeling it. We're going to be feeling it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So at Waking Giants, we're really trying to be mindful of what people need right now and how can we get that to folks in a way that is uplifting and inspirational and artful, but also useful.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what we are doing this year and where we will be putting our energy.
Mm-hmm.
And always, looking for new collaborators and opportunities from communities that we aren't a part of yet. What issues matter.
Mm-hmm. And that sounds like you have an amazing thing to do. And of course, when you mentioned about people in $40,000 cars lining up at a food bank, and I think to myself, it's like, whatever happened to the balance of just having just a plain old working car and just having enough to provide food? It's like that huge car payment or something can go towards, like, say, stocking up your pantry, your refrigerator, your freezer, and or whatever else. It's like, that's just, it's mind blowing. Or even like, what I see is that people buying these iPhones and everything else, but yet not enough money for food or clothes or even like say the mortgage or paying your utilities or so.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, we think we've all been caught off guard by this and didn't see it coming, and we have not had a lot of training in how so many. If you go back so many generations in this country, we haven't had a generation. We haven't had a society-wide experience of scarcity in this country since the Depression.
Wow.
And the folks who survived the Depression are dying, just because, they're 80, 90 years old now. And so we just don't have the experience of saving for a rainy day.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have been fed the line for so many generations that America is the strongest, America is the richest. And I think that maybe now we're feeling that it might not be true, that there are other countries in the developed world that are doing a much better job of taking care of their people right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because their government did save for a rainy day.
Right.
And ours and prioritizes their people and families and their health care in ways that our government, and not just this administration, this is not partisan for me, it's much more systemic. It's just about how the values of America, and for us to see the kind of change that we need to see in this country, we got to go back a long, long way. We're watching this miniseries on HBO, the John Adams miniseries with our kids right now, and my husband and I have watched it before, but this is sort of counting as our social studies curriculum with our kids right now. And it's just so profound to watch the debate in the Continental Congress around slavery, and how the Northerners feel very adamant that this is not a practice that a new country should continue. And the Southerners, and I say this as a Southerner, are willing to ultimately fight a war over it.
Mm-hmm.
That it was so important to them. And I think that really is some of our big work, and I use work here with a capital W, that we need to do in this country if we really want to see equality and justice for everyone here. We have a lot of big work to do in unpacking how it is we got here, mm-hmm. so that we don't create we don't repeat the same mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's very important as well too. You mentioned about saving for rainy day. Would that be one of your topics coming up in your what was it? The calendar of events for Waking Giants?
Yeah.
Would. Good. Okay.
Yeah, we've got some economic justice, and I mean, just as I'm raising my kids, like nobody talks to me about money, about how to balance a checkbook, about how much to save, what are you saving for. So I find just even as a parent, like I'm trying to teach my kids this, and I talk to my friends who are now parents, and we're all like, no, nobody taught us this. We had to teach ourselves. And wouldn't it be extraordinary if we could raise a whole nother generation of folks who, when our kids leave at 18, they know how to budget, they know how to balance, they know how to save, they know how to prioritize spending. That would be very, very significant, I feel. So to your long-winded answer to your question, that a lot of the stuff that we have coming up on Waking Giants EDU speaks to this like bigger culture shift that we're hoping to be a part of, where people just have more preparedness in general, more tools for how to deal with crisis when it arrives.
Mm-hmm. And that's amazing, too, what you're doing as well, too. And a couple more minutes with Sera Bonds of Waking Giants. We'd love to have you back on. Thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. And just a couple more things here, Sera. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Oh, my biggest influence in my career, probably my husband. He is a special needs pediatrician, and I see him work hard every day. In this very specific way. He's just got this like real innate way of staying positive and optimistic, even when things are hard. I mean, he goes to maybe 1 or 2 funerals a month for small kids and babies. And he's the person who has to tell parents that their kids are not going to make it. And he comes home every day with just this, well, now he's at home all the time, but when he would go home or when he comes out of his office, he just has this incredible joy and gratitude about him. And I have learned so much from him about how to practice gratitude in my life and in my work. So I think it's him.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing as well, too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Just, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. And even if you're being kind to yourself, be kinder. How can you be kinder to yourself? What a world it would be if we all move through our days with the goal of being kind to ourselves. It's a different place.
Mm-hmm. And that's very important as well, too. Once again, Sera Bonds of Waking Giants, a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to hearing you again soon. And before we go here, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact you, and where can people check out your events? Sure.
So our website is wakinggiants.me. Most of our social handles are For the Good Fight. And if folks want to find out about what's going on, what we're up to, the best way is honestly to sign up for our newsletter. You can do that on our website, wakinggiants.me.
That's fantastic. Once again, Sera, thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to hearing you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. We'd love you to have back on sometime 2020 and beyond. You've been fantastic.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. Appreciate the time and attention.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.